the first thing you need to do is to identify your goals and what you want to achieve from your part-time job. So are you just trying to get money from this job, or you actually want to plan ahead with your career and do something for your career with this job? So what I did, so I was volunteering for an organization, and I know I want to jump into marketing, jump into business development. So I put my hands up to say, hey, if there are any opportunities available for either casual or part-time opportunities, I would love to join the company. So one is, more professional. Another one is, more, hands-on. You do it for short term.
Thank you so much for your time, Ocean. When I was going through your profile on LinkedIn, I was blown away. So many things you have done in your professional work as volunteer and while being an international student in University of Queensland. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Awesome, man. I really want to get started and get to know everything, the things that you have done, so all our listeners and viewers can learn from the things that you have done. So you have been an international student from Hong Kong, right? So when you came to Australia in December 2015 and started in January 2016, what was your biggest challenge as an international student in Australia?
Yeah, really good question. I got this a lot as well, actually. I guess start off with this. I do have cousins and I do have like extended family here. So, finding accommodation and those kind of things is not the big challenge for me. But more, the biggest hurdle I had when I first arrived this country is my English, because my English wasn't good enough. I wasn't confident enough to talk to people, to tell people what I'm thinking as such. So first thing first, I guess my English was my first struggle.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess time to time, I feel better now, but it's still a thing you learn on the way you learn while you interact with people. So yeah, English, the first thing
I absolutely agree. I think a lot of international students, in fact, majority of international students struggle with their English. And honestly, I always thought, like when I was in India, I always thought like my English is good enough. I can talk to almost everybody because we are taught English since probably we are like 6 years old, 7 years old, and a lot of people talk in English in India. But when I came here, I still struggled understanding the Australian slangs or just the Australian accent. And that had taken a toll on my confidence. So how did you improve your English?
Oh, wow. I guess having the right mindset in the beginning. So when I was here, like when I first arrived here, I knew I am here to study and to learn. So I wasn't hanging out with people from my home, country, from my people who have similar cultures, but actually hanging out with locals or with other international students who speak English. So, and I guess that's the first thing we should do, just get yourself into that environment and to adapt English and use it. So, and time to time, you build confidence and you get better with that. So yeah.
That is brilliant. Okay, coming back to your education. So you have done a Bachelor's of Commerce from University of Queensland. Is that right?
Yeah, so Bachelor of Business Management in UQ. So it's quite similar to commerce degree here.
And how has your experience been in University of Queensland? Like, what do you love the most about University of Queensland?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal. Like I did a lot of things. I did a bit of volunteering there. I started a business in UQ, and I went on exchange with other people. Went to Israel, so a bunch of experience. So yeah, I couldn't do better. I reflect on my last 3 years. Like I spend all the time there, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
So good, man. And you mentioned specifically about volunteering. So before we go to part-time jobs and I ask you everything about your professional world, I really wanted to focus on volunteering opportunities that you have taken up, because you have taken up so many volunteering opportunities. So why have you taken up these volunteering opportunities? Because I'm pretty sure majority of volunteering opportunities don't pay you, right? So why did you take these opportunities, and how did you find the right volunteering opportunities?
Yeah, so I guess reflect on my last point. I really want to improve my English in my first place. And I knew the best way to do it is to get around with people who speak English and work or volunteering with an organization. So that's the momentum or the motivation I had in the beginning. But also like meeting friends and just, hang out with people, spend time there, get to know more about the country, get to know more about different organizations. So that's different intentions. And give you a story. So my first volunteering experience was with Study Brisbane. So there was a study cluster similar to other study cluster in Melbourne or Victoria in New South Wales. So I was one of the ambassadors there, and I get to network. I get to hang around with different professionals. And that's how I land to another volunteering positions in a multicultural agency, Multicultural Australia. So we help refugees and asylum seekers to settle in Australia. And that was really meaningful because I learned about that in the textbook. I learned about refugees, learned about persecution, but never met someone who went through that journey and hearing their story. So I was volunteering there and just opened my mind with, how humanity changed the world and love issues we are facing. Not only, we are really lucky in this country, but in another side of the world. So that's how I started with the whole volunteering journey.
But if, for example, I'm an international student right now, or I'm somebody who's planning to come to Australia, so I will be an international student, and I want to find the right volunteering opportunities, what would you suggest for international student? What should they do?
I guess in the beginning, you don't need to bother if the volunteering experience is right or wrong. It doesn't really matter for your first time. It doesn't have to in your professional discipline. It doesn't have to be aligned with your, study discipline or such. But go to your university or to go to your institution and talk to those employment advisors, employability specialists to see what's opportunities out there and try to get that first. When you do more, you know what you want to do, you know your personal value, you know your mission, you know what you want to serve, and then you find other opportunities either online or go on, different articles. There are plenty of resources from different study clusters, from Insider Guides. So yeah, I guess when you first start, don't bother what you will be doing. Just do something first, and then you jump on something you are more passionate about.
I think that is such a great advice. Like, first thing that we need to do is just like get what is out there and then figure out what we really, really like. So I really love that. And let's move on to your part-time job. So you mentioned that you got your part-time job through your volunteering opportunity. Was that your first part-time job?
It was my first part-time job in Australia. I did a bit of other work back home, but my first professional part-time job in Australia.
Okay, and a lot of international students struggle to get a part-time job. So what would be your advice for those students as to like what should they do to get a part-time job in their field?
I guess there are two types of part-time jobs. One is more on, okay, you want to get cash, get money straight away. So you work in a cafe or work in a restaurant, blah, blah, blah. Another way is, so what I did, so I was volunteering for an organization and I know I want to jump into marketing, jump into business development. So I put my hands up to say, hey, if there are any opportunities available for either casual or part-time opportunities, I would love to join the company. So one is, more professional. Another one is, more, hands-on, you do it for short term. And and I guess the first thing you need to do is to identify your goals and what you want to achieve from your part-time job. So are you just trying to get money from this job, or you actually want to plan ahead with your career and do something for your career with this job? Not necessarily saying you work in a cafe doesn't acquire or doesn't gain any skills at all, but just different. It's really good experience because you get to work with customers, you build up your service orientation, different skill sets, negotiation, blah blah blah, all those transferable skills. But there is still a focus you can do, you can go with. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So apart from that specific job that you got through your volunteering, did you apply for any other part-time jobs during you were a student?
Afterward, I was working for the faculty doing events management, those kind of things. But those jobs are more word of mouth. So
Yeah.
you know the people in the faculty or in the organizations, they ask you to help, and then you become a casual worker for them. So yes,
And actually,
but I didn't apply for that.
yeah, that is the point that I exactly wanted to make, which is like how one opportunity, for example, volunteering, when you applied to become an ambassador for Study Brisbane, you had no idea that these are the chain of events that are going to happen, that you'll meet somebody and that would lead to another volunteering opportunities, that would lead to a part-time job that will give you certain experiences, and so on, and all those opportunities. So that is the point that I wanted to make, as to like, even if volunteering opportunities come in your way as an international student while you're studying, how important it is to just take it up and learn from them, right? And just on that internship part, there are rarely any international student who start their own startup while they are international student in Australia, because it's really, really hard. And you have started your startup. So
I mean, you're one of the example as well.
I mean, yeah, but you know that there are not many international students who have done that. So tell me about it. How did you start? What is it about? And why did you feel the need to start your startup?
Yeah, I guess coming from my background, I always want to do something myself, and I always wanted to start something. So when I was in school back in my home country, I want to sell sausages, on campus. So I know I am pretty entrepreneurial, and my dad is a sole trader as well. So he does have a business, so it kind of influenced me in some way. But fun fact, I actually know more about him and his story after I started my business, because I understand the blood and the tear you need to put into your business. But anyway, and coming with starting up startup interns. So my co-founder and I actually met from Study Brisbane. So he was one of the ambassadors from Korea, and I was from Hong Kong. I'm from Hong Kong. So we knew each other, and then we both want to do something for international students. Because when we were working as an intern, we understand the need of students applying for jobs, getting internship, getting work experiences. So we know there is a gap between the industry and students, and that's why we come together to do something together for international students, to build portals, to build technologies to help students to find jobs. So that's how we get started.
Okay.
Long story short, we were trying to build technologies to help students to find internship. But we end up find that the Market Foundation told us, actually, there are enough jobs in the market. Employers are open to hire international students if a student can demonstrate their value. And the key problem here is international students are not really good at demonstrating their value, not really good at personal story, not really good at storytelling. And we pivot the whole business, and then change the business model, and that's why we did staff interns and all the programs, and in the past.
That is so good. And you raised a really important point, that companies want to hire anybody who has the right skill set. And a lot of time, international students have those skills. They just don't know how to convey that they have those skills. So, what would be your suggestions to these international students who are looking for jobs right now?
Yeah, I guess the first thing is be confident and just storytelling. Tell your story. A lot of international students coming from a technical background, but they don't really tell people what they had achieved back home, or they don't think it's relevant because they were not their experience were not in Australia, so they hide those experience. But no, they are really relevant, and it's really important to demonstrate those skills and your experience, your mindsets, blah blah blah. And the second thing is build up your profile and let people know. I guess especially 2020, make sure you have a good LinkedIn presence. You do all the networking, online, offline, whatever. Let people know your name. Let people know what you are doing, and let people know your anger, your ambitions. You're here to help. You're here to get stuff done. So yeah, different ways you can get jobs. And I guess you had other speaker to cover that topic as well. But one thing you need to do is just be confident and tell people who you are and why you're here and what's your passion.
Amazing, man. That is so important because I know, like, I've been talking to a lot of international students almost on a daily basis, and the number of international students struggle to get a job is just a lot. And a lot of times, I think that international students also have to step up their game to actually get a job in the field that they are studying in. And coming back to the second last question, and that is about your full-time job. So tell us the story, because we just talk about how hard it is to get a full-time job. So how did you get your full-time job?
Well, so just a bit of background. So I'm now working for Patera, an edtech and SaaS company in experiential learning. So we build technologies helping educators and learners to learn better, to deliver their courses better with technologies. So it's really interesting because when I first started Staff Interns, we were doing quite similar things as Patera, my current company. And at some point, my co-founder and I actually think Patera is our competitor. Well, was our competitor. And we were, looking at each other. Well, I don't know if they look at us, but we definitely look at their profile, look at their business case, look at how they, deliver the technologies and how they build the technologies, blah, 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 a lot of analysis. And at some points, we met a CEO when he was in Queensland taking up leadership role. So we met with him and then we formed a partnership because we believe collaboration is much better than competition in every single situation. So we collaborate, we apply for grants together, we run things together, we do things together. And then end up, people say if you can't beat someone, you join someone. and yeah, so that's a story. I guess it's quite rare and quite unique in our community. So when you start a business, you end up not working for your own business, but you work for your competitor as an international student. So yeah, it's funny, interesting.
I think it's a great story because it talks about how you have the capacity to actually work to solve the problem and not have your ego stuck to the name of your company, because a lot of founders struggle with that. So like, I know they're better, or I know they're just much bigger. You might be better, but they're just much bigger and they have the larger market share, and that's why they cannot let go of what they have. So I think what you have done is great.
And I guess we flat on myself and my co-founder DJ. We know we are in our early 20, early career. It's much more efficient and productive and better outcome when we learn from someone, in our early age, and then come back to do something else in the next 5-10 years when we are ready, when we are more, adaptable, when we are more flexible, when we are more ready to start another business. So absolutely. Yeah,
I think at that time you would have a lot more knowledge that you can execute in your business to make your business more successful.
Yeah, knowledge, connections, skill sets.
Awesome, man. Coming back to our last question, and I get really excited about this question because I have heard some amazing answers. And the question is very, very simple. If you had to live your life again as an international student with all the knowledge that you already have, what are some of the things that you would 100% do that you may have already done, but that this is something that I have to do to get certain returns? Or what are the things that you haven't done that you would like to do?
Oh, that's a hard question. Well, because, I feel I maximized my experience in the last 3 years already. So I don't really have things that I feel regret or not doing. And I guess my story is each chapter is linked to each other. I guess, as you mentioned, if I didn't do volunteering, I wouldn't land my internship, I wouldn't start my business, I wouldn't take up leadership role, I wouldn't land my full-time job here. So only if I miss a single chapter in my last 3 experience, it's going to be different. Yeah, one thing I could do more, I guess, and I still can do now is speak louder for our community, speak louder for international students. And I guess especially during COVID and seeing, government, seeing politicians respond to our sector and students. And I guess it's time for us to speak louder for us and talk about what value we could bring to, this society. Not only, the tuition fee we are paying, but also the cultural value and the tangible stuff we are doing with research, with the work we are doing, with the skills and everything. So yeah, and I guess it's not just me, but everyone who has studied here, who are studying here, and who are going to study here. It's look at us as a community.
Awesome, man. That is so good. Well, thank you so much for your time. I absolutely loved each and everything that you said. And I'm sure everybody who's listening to this or watching this video will have so much to learn from this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you loved the interview. Guys, we would love to know who do you want us to interview. So write that in the comment section. Which course do you want to know about? Which city do you want to know about? Or which university would you like to know about? If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. If you haven't liked this video, like this video and share this video with your friends. See you in the next video.